What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. It's your boy, Money I'm back in the cover, another banger. I said we back in the cover, another banger. As you can tell by the title, we got a wild little video. Really don't know what it's about or what it's gonna be about, but before we get into this video, turn on post notifications, slide that like button, comment, subscribe. You know, the basics. You know what I'm saying? Support is free. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video.
We're headed home. That's all you need to know.
Sir, I need to ask her a couple of questions as well. Ma'am, are you all right?
Bro came
She's
in this
fine. I
bit
told
mad
you. We're good.
aggressive.
Let's
I
wrap
still
this
need
up.
to hear from her. Can you let her answer?
No, you can hear from me. We're leaving.
Pay attention to this. March 14th, 2025.
Bro, ass was
What you're about
heated.
to see is a routine traffic stop that ended in double tragedy, and a secret that had been buried for nearly 2 decades. A rural highway in Nebraska. Officer Michael Torres was working a checkpoint that afternoon. Around
Type
3:45
shit.
p.m., a pickup truck approached. Something made Torres signal for it to pull over. The driver was a man in his early 60s. The passenger was a young woman, maybe 18 or 19. Torres approached the vehicle, spoke to both of them. The man seemed agitated.
Crazy
The woman
work,
seemed frightened.
crazy
When
work.
Torres asked if she was okay, she said yes, but her voice was flat, emotionless. Torres pressed further. The conversation with the driver became tense. The tones escalated. Then, the body camera cut to static.
Y'all ain't see that. Oh my god, and then we get
Ease to
slapped
me
with an
is
ad.
basically
We get
freedom.
slapped
It's
with
a
an ad.
giant
Hey, you know what? I ain't
universe
tripping.
where
They gotta
you
make their
can do it.
monies.
When backup arrived 11 minutes later, they found Officer Torres wounded, but alive. The driver and the passenger were both dead. The driver
But
had shot
what?
the young woman, then turned the gun on himself. The
Oh,
driver was
Lord.
Harold Rigsby, 61, a farmer who'd lived in the area his entire life. The passenger was Emma Caldwell, 18, who'd been reported missing 5 months earlier from a neighboring farm 3 miles away. Emma's family had been searching for her since October 2024.
Nah,
She
that's
disappeared
wild.
one afternoon while walking to check on livestock. No trace, no leads, no witnesses. The community had organized search parties, distributed flyers, pleaded for information. Nothing. Emma had been 3 miles away the entire time, locked in Harold Rigsby's basement. When investigators searched
Boy,
Rigsby's
what the
property, they
fuck?
found where Emma had been held.
Oh,
A
man.
basement, a single mattress, a chain bolted to the wall.
That's crazy. Hey, look.
No windows.
I think.
Evidence of prolonged captivity and repeated assault.
What?
Emma had been held there for 5 months.
Boy.
Harold Rigsby's farm was isolated, surrounded
Damn.
by fields, no close neighbors.
Oh, my
No one
God.
had heard her. No one had suspected.
Oh,
The
my
question
God.
investigators couldn't immediately answer was why Rigsby had taken Emma out of the basement.
You know, and this is where confusion come in. You mean to tell me your daughter was 3 miles down the road the whole entire time for 5 months, and y'all never once thought like, this nigga probably got something to do with it, or to even go and question, or to go search? Like, come on, cuz that shit sound like some bullshit.
That day. Why risk exposure after keeping her hidden for so long?
Exactly.
They found the answer in Rigsby's truck. Medical paperwork from that morning. Terminal cancer diagnosis. Maybe 6 months left to live. Rigsby knew he was dying. He couldn't leave Emma locked in his basement to starve after he was gone. So for the first time in 5 months, he'd taken her with him. Maybe planning to kill her somewhere remote and bury the evidence. Maybe planning something else. Investigators would never
They
know
be
for
that
certain.
bad
But
for
Officer Torres
fucking
had stopped him,
business, boy.
had seen something wrong. And rather than face arrest, rather than let Emma tell what he'd done, Rigsby had made his final decision. The community was devastated. Harold Rigsby had been a familiar presence for decades. Quiet, kept to himself, but not someone
Hey,
anyone
how's up,
suspected of violence. He attended church occasionally, bought supplies at local stores,
Type shit.
exchanged pleasantries with neighbors.
Type
Emma's
shit.
family was destroyed by grief compounded by horror. 5 months she'd been so close, suffering, while they'd searched.
And then we'll make it like it ain't even funny. But what make it so funny though, like they really just went into the description trying to explain who this man was, and Bro, nobody care about all that, bro. This man just kidnapped somebody and killed somebody, bro. You think we care about who he is? Like, y'all be tripping.
Everywhere else. The
Hey,
investigation
bro, chill
into
that
how
out.
Rigsby had taken Emma focused
Doing
on the
too
connection between their properties.
I wanna hear that.
Emma's grandparents owned the farm where she'd been living. Rigsby's land bordered theirs. He'd known the family for
Y'all gotta
years.
excuse my dog.
On the
We be
day Emma
arguing.
disappeared, Rigsby had gone to her grandparents' property with some excuse about checking his fence line. Emma's grandfather wasn't home.
Meet
You get
Swibbler,
slapped with
the
another
AI
ad.
book writer that
All right, that's
transforms your
cool.
ideas
That's cool.
into fully
That's
developed
cool.
chapters.
That's cool.
With pre-made
I ain't tripping. That's cool.
Emma had been alone. She'd gone with Rigsby to check the fence. She never came back. Officer Torres survived his injuries. He was shot twice during the confrontation but made a full
Boy,
recovery.
ain't no fucking way.
In interviews afterward, he described
Man, who was the officer, bro? Like, what? How could you even allow half of this shit to happen? Like, I thought y'all get trained on protocols and all that, like, for these type of situations, so you can be prepared for shit like this when it go on. You feel me? This shit just sound crazy.
knowing something was wrong at that checkpoint. The way she looked, he said. She said she was fine, but everything about her was screaming for help. I couldn't just let them drive away. His decision to press
Bella,
further had
lay
been
down.
exactly correct. But it had come too late to save Emma. The confrontation had lasted less than 30 seconds. Rigsby had pulled the gun, shot Emma first, then fired at Torres twice before turning the weapon on himself.
Damn.
The case seemed closed. A
Bro,
monster
what the
who'd
fuck?
kidnapped and tortured a young woman.
Hold on. So come on, cuz y'all trying to tell me this man was the Flash. This man shot this man shot her, turned the gun, shot the police officer 2 times, then boom, shot himself. But ain't no way in hell he did all that shit that fast, and the police officer just like, man. But ain't no fucking way.
Killed her rather than face justice, then taken his own life. Tragic, horrific, but resolved. Then, 2 weeks after Emma's funeral, her mother, Rebecca Caldwell, came forward with information that changed everything. Rebecca had been living with unbearable grief since learning of Emma's death.
Let's
But
hear
she was
this.
also living with a secret she'd kept for 19 years.
Oh.
Rebecca told investigators that Harold Rigsby was Emma's biological father.
And would you
19
fucking
years
believe
earlier,
this shit?
Rebecca
This
had
is
been
where the
living on
ball
her
dropped.
parents' farm.
It was a daddy.
She'd been 22, engaged to Thomas Caldwell, planning a wedding. Harold Rigsby was 42 at the time. He'd helped Rebecca's father with farm work occasionally. He and Rebecca had developed a relationship that crossed a line into a brief affair. Rebecca ended it quickly, feeling guilty and ashamed. She married Thomas as planned. When she discovered she was pregnant a month later, she convinced herself the baby was Thomas's. Or maybe she just chose to believe it because the alternative was too complicated. Emma was born. Thomas believed she was his daughter. Emma grew up believing Thomas was her father. Rebecca never told anyone the truth. When Emma was 5, Rebecca and Thomas moved to the city. They visited
Crazy
the
work.
family farm regularly. Emma spent summers with her grandparents, helping with farm work. Harold Rigsby remained a neighbor. Emma saw him occasionally over the years, the quiet farmer from the adjacent property. She had no idea of any connection between them. After Emma's body was found, after learning what Rigsby had done to her, Rebecca had been consumed by a horrifying question. Did he know?
Did he know? He killed your daughter, and you was wondering if he knew? That's it?
Did Harold Rigsby know
Yo,
Emma was
motherfuckers
his
is
biological daughter when he kidnapped her? Did he know while he held her captive for 5 months? Did he know when he shot her at that checkpoint? Rebecca believed he didn't know. She'd never told him about the pregnancy, had never suggested Emma might be his. There was no reason for him to suspect, which meant Harold Rigsby had kidnapped, imprisoned, repeatedly assaulted, and ultimately killed his own daughter without knowing it. Investigators had no way to confirm whether Rigsby had known. He'd left no note, no explanation. His motivations died with him. DNA testing confirmed Rebecca's claim. Harold Rigsby was indeed Emma's biological father.
Damn.
The results were sealed
you
by court
nasty
order to protect the
motherfucker.
family's privacy.
Oh.
Thomas Caldwell, the man who'd raised Emma, was devastated by the revelation.
That shit I would
Not
be
because
too.
Emma wasn't biologically his. That changed nothing about his love for her. But because of what it meant. The man who'd killed his daughter had been her biological father. Rebecca's marriage to Thomas didn't survive. The secret, combined with the trauma of Emma's death, created a rift that couldn't be bridged. They divorced 18 months
Damn
later.
right.
The case of Emma Caldwell became a study in compounded tragedy. A young woman kidnapped and held captive by a neighbor. A routine traffic stop that escalated to violence. A secret from decades past that meant the victim and perpetrator were connected by blood neither of them knew about. If Rigsby had known Emma was his daughter, would he have targeted her?
Nah, that one.
Or would that
was
knowledge have made his actions even more depraved? No one could say. Officer Michael Torres was commended for his actions at the checkpoint. His instinct that something was wrong had been correct, even though the outcome was tragic. I think about it constantly.
Knew something
Torres
was wrong.
said in an interview
Didn't do
a year
nothing.
later.
Didn't act
What if I'd
quick
approached
enough.
it differently?
I don't know.
But I also
feel
know
like
that
he
girl
ain't
was
act
asking
quick
for
enough.
help without words. I couldn't ignore that. Harold Rigsby's property was sold by his estate. The new owners demolished the house and the basement where Emma had been held. The land sits empty now, too marked by horror for anyone to build on. Emma's grandparents never recovered. Her grandfather died of a heart attack less than a year after Emma's death. Her grandmother moved away, unable to live in a place with so many painful memories.
Nah, that's crazy.
Rebecca Caldwell lives quietly
Like what?
now,
What else do you do
carrying
after
the
that?
weight of her secret's
Where do you
consequences.
go after that? Like,
In
bro,
one rare interview, she said, "I made a
That's-
choice
that's
19
crazy.
years ago to keep a secret. I thought I was protecting my family.
that secret
Instead,
costed you
that secret
everything.
became part of a nightmare I could never have imagined."
Yeah.
Emma died not knowing who her real father was, and her real father died not knowing he'd killed his own child. The body camera footage from that checkpoint has never been publicly released. Law enforcement agencies use it as training material on recognizing signs of coercion. What happened in those final seconds is reconstructed through Torres's testimony and forensic evidence. Rigsby pulling the gun, the first shot killing Emma, the shots wounding Torres, the final shot ending Rigsby's life.
Still don't
People
make
at a
sense to
checkpoint
me.
on a rural
Still
highway,
don't make sense to
two
me.
dead within seconds,
Like-
one left to live with the memories, and a secret that came out too late to matter to anyone except those left behind. Emma Caldwell would be 19
Somebody gotta
now.
make it. Hey, bro, how
Her
y'all feel
family
about
holds
this,
a
bro?
memorial
Like,
every
comment
March
down below. Tell me how
14th.
y'all feel about this.
Thomas
This is
Caldwell
crazy.
speaks at the memorials, talking about the daughter he raised and loved, refusing to let the circumstances of her death or the revelation about her paternity define her
The
memory.
AI generated that
Emma
photo.
was my daughter, he always says. Biology doesn't change that. What happened to her was evil. What we
Bro.
learned afterward was tragic. But Emma was my daughter.
This is crazy.
And that's what I remember. Harold Rigsby is buried in a small cemetery outside the town where he lived. His grave has no marker. No one visits. Rebecca Caldwell has never visited Emma's grave. The guilt is too overwhelming. She lives with the knowledge that her secret, kept to protect herself and her family, became entangled in her daughter's death in the cruelest possible way.
Bro, she dirty as hell for that.
If you see something wrong, trust your instincts. Sometimes that's all we can do. Subscribe for more complex true.
Hey, man, y'all drop down below how y'all feel about that. And then you hear it at the end, they just said her mother don't even go to her own grave because of the guilt. Because you decided you wanted to hide the secret. Now that girl biological daddy then did things to her and then killed her and then killed himself. Shit don't make no damn sense. That shit sick, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Shit, I feel for the motherfucker who thought that was his child the whole time. Cause shit, he had it the worst. You cheated on him. Stayed down with that man acting like everything was all good. He had it. Hey, I feel for him. Shit. Y'all drop down below in the comment section how y'all feel about that. That shit was honestly wild, bro. Y'all tell me how y'all would feel in that situation. And Y'all tell me. Y'all feel like the mother should have been told her and him, or y'all feel like she should have just, like, I don't know. Y'all let me know though. Without further ado, I'm out of here, man.